In 2025, uranium isn't just a fuel source, it's the hottest ticket on Wall Street. Headlines are calling it the new gold, and investors are piling in like it's the early days of Bitcoin. But why now? What suddenly made this radioactive rock the center of a global frenzy? Prices are swinging wildly, hitting over $100 per pound before dipping. Yet analysts still call this just the beginning. Nations are stockpiling. Companies are scrambling to reopen long-closed mines. And under all of it, global power shifts both literally and politically. From geopolitical tensions cutting off key supply lines, to AI and data centers driving never-before-seen energy demand, uranium is now at the heart of the world's clean energy future. But is this truly a revolution, or just another bubble? Let's break down the story behind uranium's dramatic rise, and why everyone from energy giants to TikTok investors is talking about it. So, what's fueling this uranium mania? It starts with energy, clean, reliable energy. As the world races to meet climate goals, nuclear power is suddenly back in fashion. Unlike wind or solar, it delivers electricity 24/7 with zero emissions, making it a cornerstone of net zero strategies across the globe. At COP28, more than 20 countries committed to tripling their nuclear capacity by 2050. This included not just traditional nuclear powers, but also tech-forward economies aiming to future-proof their energy mix. And major tech companies aren't waiting. Amazon, Google, and Microsoft are already signing nuclear power deals to run their AI-heavy data centers. Why? Because small modular reactors, or SMRs, can deliver stable, clean power right where it's needed. The demand isn't limited to the West. China alone plans to consume over 40,000 tons of uranium by 2040, almost quadrupling today's levels. Dozens of new reactors are under construction worldwide, while countries like India, South Korea, and even Saudi Arabia are scaling up their nuclear ambitions. The World Nuclear Association projects a 28% jump in uranium demand by 2030, and over 50% by 2040. Meanwhile, retired plants are being restarted, and governments are pouring billions into nuclear infrastructure. France just invested 300 million euros to revitalize Orano, its uranium leader. Brazil is reviving a uranium industry dormant since the 1980s. This resurgence is also about energy security. With fossil fuel markets increasingly volatile, uranium offers a way for countries to control their power supply. That's why utilities are rushing to lock in long-term uranium contracts, often at prices well above today's spot market. In short, this isn't a blip. It's a major global shift. Uranium is emerging as the backbone of tomorrow's energy economy. While demand for uranium is skyrocketing, supply is facing serious roadblocks, and that's what's sending the market into overdrive. Start with Kazakhstan. The country produces over 40% of the world's uranium, but in late 2024, a shortage of sulfuric acid, critical for in-situ mining, forced Kazatomprom to slash its 2025 output target by nearly 20%. That alone sent shockwaves through global markets. Then there's Russia, which still supplies uranium and enrichment services to much of the world. But US sanctions and a reciprocal Russian export ban have cut off nearly 12% of the American supply chain. In response, US utilities are scrambling to find new sources, especially in Canada and Australia. And it doesn't stop there. In Niger, French uranium giant Orano suspended its Somare project due to political instability. Meanwhile, Canada's Athabasca Basin, known for high-grade uranium, is seeing fresh interest, but permitting and development can take years. The result? A looming shortfall. According to the IAEA, current uranium production meets demand only under conservative growth scenarios. But if global nuclear builds continue at their current pace, a significant supply gap could hit as early as 2027. This imbalance has created a powder keg. Producers are hesitant to ramp up without long-term contracts, while utilities are cautious due to policy uncertainty. And that tension? It's making uranium one of the most strategically sensitive resources on Earth. When supply gets squeezed and demand keeps rising, one thing happens: prices explode. If the fundamentals weren't enough, the uranium market has another fuel source: hype. Starting in late 2023, uranium prices exploded, hitting over $100 per pound in early 2024. Levels not seen since before Fukushima. And while prices cooled to the mid-60s by mid-2025, the buzz hasn't stopped. ETFs like the Sprott Uranium Miners Fund surged in popularity, and retail investors piled into small-cap mining stocks, chasing the next breakout. it's not just speculation. Major deals are happening. Paladin Energy snapped up fission uranium for over 1 billion Canadian dollars. Cameco is ramping up production at McArthur River and extending Cigar Lake's life. ISO Energy acquired Anfield Energy, doubling its resource base to over 17 million pounds. These aren't pump and dump plays. They're strategic bets on a long-term supply squeeze. Analysts say it's a classic setup: chronic underinvestment, rising demand, geopolitical risk, and inelastic supply. Even a small shift in demand can send prices surging, and that's what's drawing in Wall Street. Then there's psychology. With uranium outperforming almost every other commodity between 2020 and 2025, the uranium rush narrative has gone mainstream. Some call it a bubble. Others call it the most obvious trade of the decade. And here's the wild card. If governments commit to tripling nuclear borders by 2050, we're just in the early innings. That's why serious money is moving in. From hedge funds to sovereign wealth funds, uranium is being treated not just as a trade, but as a strategic asset. Beneath the excitement of the uranium boom lies a growing backlash. And it's not just about price volatility. Uranium mining has a long, troubled legacy. In the US, Native American communities like the Navajo and Ute have been dealing with radioactive contamination for decades. The infamous Church Rock spill in 1979 released more radiation than 3 Mile Island. And today, some communities still live near unremediated sites. In 2024, indigenous groups from across North America testified before the OAS Human Rights Commission, demanding stronger safeguards and consent-based policies. Projects like Energy Fuels mine on Navajo land were halted after fierce resistance, only restarting in 2025 under strict environmental agreements. Environmentalists and local ranchers are also sounding alarms. Uranium mines can contaminate groundwater, especially in drought-prone regions like the American Southwest. With water scarcity intensifying, opposition to new mines is growing. Then there's public opinion. While support for nuclear power is rising, any major mining accident or pollution scandal could reverse that overnight. Media coverage is increasingly divided. Some call this a green revolution. Others see it as history repeating. As uranium becomes a geopolitical and financial asset, the social license to mine it is becoming just as valuable and fragile as the metal itself. So, where does this uranium story go from here? Governments are doubling down. In the US, the Inflation Reduction Act offers massive tax credits for nuclear, and Congress has passed laws to ban Russian uranium and fund domestic production. Even more telling, the Department of Energy is fast-tracking loans and reactor approvals to accelerate nuclear deployment. In Europe, the EU reclassified nuclear as green under its sustainable finance rules, unlocking funding for new builds. Countries like France and the UK are planning large-scale expansions, while Eastern Europe is ditching Russian fuel and building new reactors. Even in traditionally anti-nuclear places like Switzerland, public opinion is shifting. But the future of uranium isn't just in big power plants. Small modular reactors, or SMRs, could be the game changer. They're smaller, cheaper, and quicker to build. And because they can power remote sites or data centers, they're attracting serious private investment. Meanwhile, the West is racing to build a self-reliant supply chain. Canada's Athabasca Basin is booming with exploration. Companies are eyeing new mines, new technologies, and even uranium recycling to meet demand. Still, the clock is ticking. Permitting delays, environmental reviews, and political debates could all slow progress. But one thing is clear: the nuclear era isn't fading. It's accelerating. As AI, electrification, and climate urgency converge, uranium could become not just a commodity, but the cornerstone of global energy stability. Uranium's rise in 2025 is more than hype. It's a reflection of the world's pivot toward clean, secure, and scalable energy. Between geopolitics, tech-driven demand, and a full-blown nuclear revival, this new gold rush might just be the beginning of a decades-long transformation. But with opportunity comes risk, and how the world handles this next chapter will define the future of energy. If you found this video insightful, hit that like button, subscribe for more deep dives into global trends, and share your thoughts in the comments. What do you think? Is uranium here to stay?